Welcome to the Security Nexus Deep Dive. Today, we're stepping into the shadows to analyze one of the absolute most complex threats on the global stage. We're unpacking the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, but specifically, we're looking at its intelligence and cyber state. Before we dive in, a quick note. The Security Nexus is a Maryland-based national security consultancy specializing in strategic advisory, education, and public engagement. Through podcasts, blogs, training, and consulting, we provide insight into the evolving landscape of cyber threats, hybrid warfare, and strategic security policy. Our mission is to inform, educate, and empower both professionals and the public through clear, accessible, and actionable knowledge. Visit us at thesecuritynexus.net. So here's our agenda for this briefing. We're going to cover the survival state, the architecture of deliberate redundancy, purging Jong-sung-tech, intelligence as revenue, the failing sanctions architecture, and finally, engineered regime survival. All right, part one, the survival state and how intelligence acts as regime infrastructure. To really get this, we have to look at the foundation. A major Belfer Center study by Daniel Byman and Jennifer Lind points out that the state operates on the Suryong, or Supreme Leader System. Now, this isn't just your standard political setup. It is absolute top-to-bottom social engineering. The regime has systematically wiped out the very building blocks of political opposition. I mean, there are no independent unions, no independent clergy, no merchant class. Even intellectuals are just regime-loyal bureaucrats. It's literally a society designed from the ground up to prevent dissent from ever taking root. Moving on to part two, the architecture of deliberate redundancy, or essentially, how to coup-proof a state. So how exactly do you design a government that cannot be overthrown from within? Well, as detailed by analyst Ken Gauss and the Federation of American Scientists, North Korea operates this complex matrix of overlapping jurisdictions across three main security agencies. You've got the Reconnaissance General Bureau handling foreign intelligence and cyber, then the Ministry of State Security oversees domestic counterintelligence, and finally, the Military Security Command surveils the elites and the troops. Now, this compartmentalization, it is entirely intentional. It's the ultimate coup-proofing logic. They make sure no single agency can ever accumulate enough power to challenge the supreme leader. They're constantly watching the population, sure, but just as importantly, they are constantly watching each other. And the reality on the ground is just absolute. As documented by the Committee for Human Rights in North Korea, the pervasive Inminban, that's their neighborhood watch system, ensures that privacy simply does not exist. Everyone's an informant and everyone is under surveillance. It's essentially a giant mechanism designed to manufacture fear and ensure total compliance across every single level of society. By intentionally fracturing this intelligence apparatus, Kim Jong-un ensures that all reporting chains and, frankly, all ultimate authority flow exclusively upward, directly to him. The system is engineered so that the only unifying node in the entire country is the supreme leader himself. It's brilliant, in a terrifying way. Let's look at part three, the Jong-sung-tech purge and eradicating cross-cutting power. So what happens when this system detects a glitch in its own matrix? Take Jong-sung-tech. He was Kim Jong-un's own uncle, widely considered the number 2 guy in the country. But, as analyst Michael Madden from North Korea Leadership Watch notes, Jang acquired way too much cross-institutional influence. He had ties to the military, the party, and crucially, to China. In a hyper-compartmentalized system like this, that kind of broad influence is deadly. So, what happened? In December 2013, he was brutally purged and executed for allegedly forming a counter-revolutionary faction. It was a rapid, ruthless autocorrection against any perceived alternative center of power, completely regardless of bloodlines. Which brings us to part 4, intelligence as revenue, the royal economy, and cyber warfare. While the internal security agencies keep the regime stable, the external agencies, like the Reconnaissance General Bureau, actually have to fund it. Just think about this number for a second. $1.5 billion. That staggering figure represents the Ethereum stolen in a single event, the February 2025 Bybit hack. It is literally the largest crypto theft in history, and the FBI directly attributed it to North Korean actors, specifically the state-sponsored Lazarus Group. And according to reporting by the threat intelligence firm CY Affirma, the exponential growth in these North Korean cyber heists is just alarming. Look at the trend. They stole over $1.3 billion in 2024, representing 61% of all crypto stolen globally that year. And they've already surpassed that in just the first half of 2025. this isn't just common crime. We are looking at state-directed financial warfare. As Ken Gauss points out, this illicit funding feeds directly into the royal economy. It generates the hard currency that is absolutely vital for the regime's survival, for keeping its elites happy, and for funding its ballistic missile and WMD programs. But get this, they aren't just hacking exchanges. As detailed by the Department of Justice, North Korea has deployed thousands of operatives in a massive remote IT worker scheme. Operatives steal identities, and they are increasingly using AI deepfakes to do it just to secure remote tech jobs in the US and Europe. Then they funnel those six-figure salaries right back to Pyongyang. At the exact same time, they're acting as insider threats, exfiltrating proprietary military and aerospace data. It is a wildly effective, decentralized revenue and espionage engine.
Pot 5. Why Western sanctions keep failing and adapting to the financial dark web.
So if the international community is fully aware of these tactics, why does the global sanctions architecture consistently fail to contain them? Well, the simple answer is that North Korea has adapted way faster than multilateral enforcement has evolved. Cypherm's reporting really highlights their sophisticated evasion tactics. They use a flood-the-zone laundering strategy, instantly dispersing stolen crypto across cross-chain bridges, so it's incredibly hard to track. They've even established Research Center 227 specifically to integrate AI into their cyber warfare. They're using US-based facilitators to host laptop farms. And crucially, ever since signing a mutual defense pact in June 2024, they are deeply leveraging Russian digital and financial infrastructure. To make matters worse, the global oversight system has fundamentally fractured. In April 2024, a Russian veto ended the mandate of the UN panel of experts, which effectively dismantled the coordinated multilateral sanctions enforcement mechanism. This created a massive void, immediately emboldening Pyongyang's illicit state-directed activities. It was a huge blow to international oversight. Finally, Part 6. Engineered Regime Survival, a Sober Assessment. We really need to look at North Korea not as a failing state, but as a regime that has meticulously engineered its own survival. Internal repression and external revenue generation, they are interlocking gears in a very deliberate machine. That Belfer Center study by Byman and Lin fundamentally debunks the popular crazy regime narrative, the myth that Kim Jong-un is just an erratic madman. The reality is that he is a shrewd, strategic, and highly rational player. He meticulously uses the authoritarian toolbox, balancing elite rewards with absolute terror, while brilliantly leveraging global cyber vulnerabilities to keep his state afloat. For policymakers, military personnel, and intelligence practitioners, the strategic bottom line here is stark. Traditional statecraft fails when it fundamentally misunderstands the regime's structural resilience. Think about it. Sanctions aimed at the broader economy just don't work the way we want them to, because the regime simply shifts the suffering down to its citizens. Meanwhile, the elite remain totally insulated by that illicit royal economy funded by their massive cyber warfare operations.
So I want to leave you with this really sobering thought. When an intelligence architecture is so deeply embedded that it functions as the very infrastructure of the state, shielding it from internal revolts while simultaneously extracting billions from the global digital economy, can a system perfectly engineered for its own survival ever actually be dismantled from the outside? It's a question that is absolutely going to define global security for years to come. Thank you so much for joining me for this Security Nexus deep dive. Keep analyzing, stay focused, and we'll see you in our next briefing.